5 News at Noon starts now.
The search for flood victims in Texas enters day 6. We'll have the latest on the efforts and the emotional and physical toll taking shape for the rescuers there on the ground. And Fort Smith city directors sign off on a plan to revamp what's left of the old Fianna Hills Country Club. Well, thank you for joining us for your 5 News at Noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with meteorologist Danny Cassidy. And yesterday, a positive of all the rain that we had. Last night, it was really nice outside.
Yes.
It wasn't too hot.
Yeah, you walked outside and you're not, sweating. It was pretty comfortable. Today, a lot different because thankfully we don't have the rain. We're having quite a bit of heat. But I tell you what, Morgan, this kind of looks like a Toy Story background. I don't know about you, but it's pretty close. 85 degrees in Fayetteville, feels like 90 though. So without the rainfall, we're seeing plenty of that sunshine, allowing things to warm up. And with that rainfall yesterday, it left a lot of moisture behind, obviously. Those dew points are in the low 70s in many areas, so it's making it feel like 90 degrees in Fayetteville. And many areas across the region are in that kind of upper 80s and low 90s range. 93 in Bentonville, 85 in Eureka Springs is the cool part. So folks, you in Carroll County, not feeling too shabby, but a lot of areas are kind of in that upper 80s and low 90s range. And that'll continue through the rest of this afternoon and the early evening. Many areas in northwest Arkansas in the mid to possibly upper 90s before, again, it's still not much relief overnight, still feeling like the mid 70s by midnight. And then as we go for the River Valley, some areas getting close to 100. I do think some areas could eclipse 100 and then obviously tailing off shortly after sunset there. But again, that feels like it's going to be the talk for the next few days. Some areas could get as high as 105 tomorrow into the triple digits on Friday. And it does reduce for us Saturday and Sunday, but that does come with more rain chances. So we'll talk about those rain chances further coming up in your full forecast. Morgan.
Thanks, Danny. Well, Fort Smith police are investigating a shooting that left one person injured. They say they responded to a report of gunshots last night on Johnson Street. A victim was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the investigation is ongoing, and we'll bring you any updates right here on 5 News. Well, in one of the largest search operations in Texas history, rescuers continue to look for more than 160 people believed to be missing 6 days after catastrophic flooding. More than 100 people are confirmed dead, including 27 campers and counselors at the Camp Mystic Girls Summer Camp. CBS's Nydia Cavazos reports from Kerrville, Texas, where flood warnings and evacuations are under scrutiny.
Newly released records reportedly show Texas inspectors approved Camp Mystic's emergency planning only 2 days before catastrophic floodwaters devastated the girls' summer camp. Camp Mystic did not evacuate when the river rose to flood levels in the early morning hours on Friday.
First responders from emergency services throughout Kerr County promptly responded to the recent emergency as the situation unfolded. When or if necessary, if improvements need to be made, improvements will be made.
Along the banks of the Guadalupe River, RV Resort Park managers Marianne Moran and Hannah Thrasher told CBS News that they didn't receive any official emergency evacuation warnings they would expect to get on their phones.
I think there should have been alarms.
For those searching for flood victims, there's a physical and an emotional toll. Louis Deppie first set out to find his best friend's daughter, Joyce Catherine Baden, after her body was found. Deppie continued to search for 2 of her missing friends who were with her in a riverside cabin.
One of the shocking memories I'll always have is just how high some of the debris got.
Data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration shows how rapidly the waters rose in Kerrville, cresting at nearly 35 feet above normal levels. Kyle Ames's 2 young boys woke him up as water surged through his house in Ingram, Texas.
I just hear off the distance that, there's water in the house, Daddy, there's water in the house.
Ames says when he got out of bed, the water was already up to his knees. Less than 10 minutes later, it was at his waist. His girlfriend Hannah and mother Cindy said they had to get to the roof. Only Kyle could lift them all up there.
It just happened so quick and it's just instinct.
Kerr County does not have a flood siren system. Governor Greg Abbott says in the coming days, state elected leaders will work on ideas of how to address what happened. Nydia Cavazos, CBS News, Kerrville, Texas.
5 young girls and 1 camp counselor are still missing from Camp Mystic. And Texas state emergency crews are documenting damage from the deadly floods. First responders gathered at United Way to learn how to guide flood victims through the damage report process. It's an essential step for unlocking state and federal aid. And hundreds of animals have also been displaced from the floods. The Austin Wildlife Rescue has taken in over 100. They're rehabilitating skunks, deer, and squirrels. Another group, Kerrville Pets Alive, is finding fosters for domestic pets like cats and dogs who were washed away from their homes. Some of the stories are devastating.
So yesterday, Kerrville Pets Alive picked up a dog. We found out her name was Chloe, but she was found in the flood and her parents were deceased. We were able to reunite her, though, with the son of the owners.
Volunteers with Austin Wildlife say it's baby season for many species, and right now most of the animals they're taking in are young and vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Arkansas National Guard has sent 24 personnel down to Texas. They left on Tuesday to help with those relief efforts. Carter Thweet was at Camp Robinson and spoke with commanders about their mission.
We received an Emergency Management Assistance Compact, or an EMAC, from Texas, from the governor of Texas to the governor of Arkansas.
And according to Colonel Keeter, 24 personnel left early Tuesday morning to respond to that request.
Specifically to provide additional support to the search and recovery operations in the vicinity of Hunt, Texas, along the Guadalupe River.
They'll do so using 4 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, which were chosen for their infrared capabilities, and one of them can do even more than that.
Specifically, the Medevac variant, the same one I was telling you about, has a hoist capability as well. So in the event that they can't get a ground crew to a certain location, they can hoist that out.
Colonel Keeter says the Guard responds to those EMAC requests often, as well as conducting operations here in Arkansas for things like lost hikers. But in this particular instance, with all those who have already been lost, he says the unit is eager to get to Texas and save any lives they can.
That's why we sign up for this specific component to do what we do, helping and assisting our neighbors, our family members, our friends, other states in these tragic environments like that. It is tragic. Our hearts go out to them. I'm a parent, I'm a father. I can only imagine from that perspective as well. And all of our guys see it the same way.
Carter Thweet, 5 News.
Well, we're learning more about the crash in Logan County that killed 2 sisters back on May 30th. 16-year-old Ian Phillips and his grandmother, 71-year-old Martha Phillips, are each facing charges. Mackenzie and Maddie Arthur were killed on the Morrison Bluff Bridge. According to the prosecutor's office, the suspects were racing each other at the time of the crash. Prosecutors say Ian Phillips was driving 155 miles per hour when he rear-ended the Arthur sisters, pushing them into oncoming traffic. They say Martha Phillips was driving as fast as 120 miles per hour. Ian Phillips is charged with second-degree murder, and prosecutors say he did not have a license at the time of the crash. Martha Phillips is charged with manslaughter. Both suspects are due in court for their plea and arraignment on Friday. President Trump's frustration with Russian attacks on Ukraine boiled over during a cabinet meeting at the White House Tuesday. Russia responded with yet another large-scale attack on Ukraine. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
Ukraine says Russia launched its largest aerial attack yet, a bombardment overnight of more than 700 drones and 13 missiles in multiple cities across the war-torn country.
Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people.
Hours earlier, President Trump expressed growing frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
We get a lot of bull thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
The president has acknowledged ending Russia's war on Ukraine has been tougher than anticipated and says he's sending Ukraine additional weapons after the Pentagon paused shipments last week, saying it was part of a broader review.
President Trump also says he's looking at the bipartisan sanctions bill introduced in Congress that now has more than 80 co-sponsors in the Senate.
Senator Graham and I have written it together so that it is powerful, scorching, bone-crushing sanctions on China and India for buying Russian oil and fueling Russia's war machine.
After the latest attack, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky renewed his call for tougher sanctions, writing on social media, "Our partners know how to apply pressure in a way that will force Russia to think about ending the war, not launching new strikes." Zelensky met with Pope Leo today. He's in Rome for a conference on Ukraine's recovery. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The Kremlin responded to President Trump's order to deliver more weapons to Ukraine, saying, quote, "These actions hardly align with attempts to facilitate peaceful resolution." While Fort Smith city directors have said yes to a proposal to revamp what's left of the old Fianna Hills Country Club. Directors approved a bill by a Van Buren developer who wants to invest about $50 million into this. It will turn the 31 acres of land that used to be the clubhouse and the golf course into housing and commercial developments.
Obviously, this club has sat dormant for a long time, and I applaud investment into this community.
Developers say this project will be done in phases, with the first to be completed in about 18 months. And starting tonight, the 188th in Fort Smith says people across the River Valley can expect to hear fighter pilots doing night training missions. The training involves F-35 fighter jets. It's expected to continue through next Thursday. The base says the night flying is required for training operations to fully qualify their partners. The F-35 program will be a decades-long mission to train U.S. allies and their pilots. Well, Bentonville is taking a major step towards smarter traffic management. City leaders approved expanding a data-driven tool that helps track movement at intersections. It could mean smoother, safer commutes ahead. The city uses Vantage Live, which is a web-based system that tracks cars, bikes, and pedestrians at 40 intersections in town. Now, 30 more traffic cameras will get that upgrade. The software collects real-time data like speed, turn direction, and traffic volume, helping engineers adjust the signal timing to reduce delays and keep people moving safely.
The goal is to get every signal in the city up to the highest level, which would give us radar detection for speed, pedestrians, bicycle counts, all the traffic counts.